Hey guys, Scott here, C10 Project. Want to go over a little story from last night. All right, gonna keep it quick here for you. Came out here yesterday, had the wife and kids piled up in the truck, all excited. We're gonna go for a ride to a birthday party for my son's friend, and I load him up, hit the key, nothing. I mean, zip, not a beep, not a click, not even a mouse moved in the house, nothing. So immediately just turned the key back and tried it again. It made a little peep and then nothing. So turned the key, took the key out, took the Trans Am to the party. Okay, old trusty Trans Am. I was at the party having a nice time, took a ride back, and I came back down here and I started scratching my head. So this is going to be like just like one of these things that, take it as it is. It's a little bit of advice that I went through and maybe it helps somebody. There's some obvious things here that everybody knows. Don't waste your time if you already know about automotive stuff, but this is a funny story. So I'm sitting here, I got the key engaged on, but it's not start, right? It's not going to start, but it's turned to power. It should have accessories, should be lit. So I'm in here, I'm looking around. Last week I had messed with, or 2 weeks ago, I had messed with the starter, with the flex plate. The drive gear on the starter was tingling-a-linging on the flex plate. So I took the starter apart in place. I took apart the aftermarket high torque starter and was able to adjust it, clean it, work better, put it back together. So I'm thinking like maybe there's something I did with the starter. So I immediately come over to the negative cable and I take that off, look at it, reconnect it, power, nothing. I got no sound, nothing. So I'm like, oh, not a starter. I get underneath the dash, just real quick. I'm checking the ignition key a couple times. You turn the key a couple times. Sometimes it'll work, and you can find out if you got a bad ignition. It's not the key. I read somewhere, heard somewhere, somebody said, I think Vice Grip Garage said something about the power goes sometimes through the high beam switch. Sometimes they go bad, or maybe there's something with the dimmer switch. Electrically, maybe nothing. All the fuses are good. So I left the key still engaged. I come over here. I'm scratching my head. I said, let's go real slow. I'm looking. I said, what would Grandpa do, man? So I come over here to Grandpa's toolbox. I'll show you Grandpa. Hold on. This is Grandpa right here. It's like 1940s, maybe earlier than that. Yeah, probably 30s or 40s, 1940s. He's a mechanic in the family. Great guy. So I'm over here. I'm looking at his box. I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? This thing's a mess. I'm looking around, disrespecting his old box. I should clean it up, restore this thing. And I'm looking, and you guys see it. You know what this is, huh? What is this? Let's see what this says here. This is the Calvan, CAL-Van 553, made in the USA. Happy Memorial Day, by the way, everybody. So if you've seen these before, you know what it is. If you don't, you're going to get a lesson, all right? Take the power wire, loosen this bolt, right? Start to wiggle this. All of a sudden, bzz, my blower motor kicks on. All the lights inside are on. The key, everything's working, right? Hit the key. She starts to crank over and then quiet again. Lost it. This is the problem. I can't believe it. This is the positive cable, right? The negative, I've always cleaned the negatives. I always check my negatives. The positive, I've always ignored. I don't know. This thing is encapsulated in lead. Lead post, lead. I can't imagine that there's a break in the connection. Here. This is the auxiliary connection that I have on this particular battery that goes to my fans. Okay, this is a little messy. I got to redo this, and this is the power wire coming off that auxiliary point for the MSD box. This goes right to the starter. This huge cable goes right to the starter. Boom. It's black. I know. It should be red. Don't tell nobody. Take this off. Take this female end. Jam it on that male end. Twist it out. make it shine, man. We made it shine, right? It worked. Cleaned it up. This piece comes off. The cap pops off. Here's the cap. And you got the male end to go into the female end here. So like if you had that cable off of the truck, you put this in here, you give this the old twist-a-rooney till it gets shiny. See this buildup in here? Like I guess that there's a little bit of a buffer there. You got to use that dielectric grease. Electric grease, I guess, keeps it from corroding even though it's on contact with lead on lead. I can't imagine that that was going to stop me from starting this truck. So the hope is, I'm doing this one-handed. So the hope is, Grandpa talked to me from the grave. He said, do this. And I did it. And the thing clicked right over, perfect, no problems. Now, a lot of times people, maybe they get a voltmeter out, check the battery, great. And they go around and they clean the negative, great. Some people just say, oh, the battery's dead, I got no sound. They don't even think twice. Maybe that's an older battery. They say, screw it, but replace it. And they go out of their way to replace a perfectly good battery. The things are heavy, and they're not cheap anymore. And I don't think they ever were really cheap, but at least in my life, but they got real expensive. So boom, cleaned it up, fine. So if you're going to work on a new project, you get the keys from the owner, you put the keys on the table, you open the hood, and you come right over to the battery. I mean, that's the first step. And because it's new, because I put the new cables on, I've had it since 2018, I never thought that that would ever be a problem, but things degrade. Just like ourselves, right? Over time, these hoses eventually will have to be replaced, I guess. And I've already rebuilt the carb. That carb was purchased in 2018 for like $800 or $650, I think. And I was leaking fuel from the gaskets were bad already. It's like, yeah, you got to rebuild these every 2 years with the ethanol gas. I'm like, what? Yep, that's what he said. Somebody, some tech. But there it is. Save yourself some money, check the battery. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to my Trans Am and I'm going to go up to my work truck because that one's been having a hard time starting and I keep replacing battery parts and doing stupid stuff. And I'm going to give that a scrub-a-dub. And I bet you I get a better crank in the cold weather. I can't imagine that that positive was causing me that much problem, but sure enough, it's been foolproof. One other thing. The starters, this is a high torque starter, doesn't matter. Starter solenoids, when they get hot and they're going bad, let's say, you'll have a hard time starting it with the engine warm. That's what like one telltale sign that I learned that you could do is check and see how the truck starts or car starts when it's warm. And I thought that was the problem. I thought that starter was going bad. Because, I mean, that's a $120 high torque starter. You know, from 2018, it's probably got some time on it. That's all she wrote, everybody. Happy Memorial Day. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this helps somebody, one person, two people. Let me know. Laugh at me, you know. I'll never make that mistake again. Just clean the cables, man. Clean the battery cables and get them so you got a little bit of dielectric grease on there to preserve them. You'll never, ever, ever think that's the problem, you know. And that's it. There it is. I got the new hubcaps on there. I was going for like a traditional, you know, look of the car, traditional 70s kind of look, something that might have been factory, you know, maybe, you know, paint job. I'm still looking for a pair of these. 5-on-5 lug pattern. Weld. Outlaw or Slingers, one of them. Let me know if you got a pair. I'd like to have a 15x9. That'd be nice. I think those are 15x9. Those are 15x10s. Like I said, I had them made on the back. I used that spray 9. One other thing. They whitened up. That spray 9 stuff. I watched Bad Chad do that on one of his white wall cars. White wall tires, I should say. And it freshened it up. I'll probably use that forever. It worked really good. All right, guys. Have a nice night.